A pleasant good evening. My name is Zerkio Joseph. I'm a teacher. I'm a graduate head of department in mathematics. I'm also what we call the general counsel rep for the Guyana Teachers Union, whereby I represent the teachers of Bardico. Tonight, my message is specifically to His Excellency, Dr. Irfan Ali. I want to say that the root of all of this is that I had taken the opportunity to listen to your presentation, and I want to share my personal reactions towards it. I want to look what it means for me, and then I also want to take a look what it means for others. And I hope at the end of it all that this one thing remains true, and that is that I really need you, Mr. President, to really consider before you make your second announcement that you take part in the process of collective bargaining with all of your unions. Because the unions are there to represent those persons who elected them to be there, paying their dues for them to represent them. And it would not be right to know that you have persons who are elected and also an organization being paid to carry out a duty or a service, and they are unable to because the party who they should be working with is unwilling to sit down at the table and discuss the issues and how best we could solve it. And and that is a state that I think we find ourselves in. And I think for that reason, Mr. President, I know that you have good intentions for this country. I have no doubt about your willingness to do your best to see progress. All right. I have no doubt about your passion to see progress. But sometimes, in our haste to do that which we think is right, we forget that it is very important that we follow the laws, right? We follow the principles and the processes that exist so that at the end of the day, even when our good intentions don't always come out to be as bright as we want it to be, you understand, nobody could ever say that, you know what, you did not follow the right process or the procedure. You understand? And I think you have more to gain, Mr. President, if you should just seek to follow the laws and take part in the process of collective bargaining. By the way, Mr. President, I must say to you, first of all, that I'm not here to belittle or to make small of anything that you have said or presented, all right? But I'm just trying to give you my honest opinion, feedback, all right, on what I've experienced after listening to your presentation November the 9th. I want to say to you also that on a personal level, I need your assistance on a matter. And I wish you could call me up after watching this video on 6214164, right? And let us see how you could help me trash out that. It would make no sense to me that I really need your help and I'm going to try to offend you. But this is not about offending you, Mr. President, but this is about encouraging you to humble and do the right thing for your people. You know, I really admire the other day how you dealt with those reporters on, I think it was Good Morning Britain, right? That is a kind of, arrogance and level of leadership sometimes you need, especially when you have persons who are bent in a certain agenda that is against you and against your people, right? But tonight I wanted to let you know that I am your people. I'm a Guyanese just like you. You understand? I'm a public servant most of all. And I expect that in your reaction to me that you don't seek to be as strong as I admire you, then I don't want you to be like that to me. I understand it. I need you to be a little bit more humble, a little bit more receptive, and be willing to, just change your ways. All right? Please don't listen to the noise that are around you and persons who are uttering things that, you know, saying that how the union is somehow against, unrealistic and unreasonable and stuff. For me, that is just false narrative, and I'm going to show you by the end of this presentation that some of the things that you have presented is not even far off. You understand? Not even far off from where the union wants you to come. And with a little bit more consideration and negotiations, right? It could have been a win-win situation for everybody. But this video is not about me giving you all those ideas and plans. This video is just about me asking you, Mr. President, to go to the bargaining table with all your unions before you make your second presentation, so that your good intentions, your good ideas will not be ill spoken of. So, with that being said, let's get the ball rolling. Now, Mr. President, when I took the time to listen to your presentation, right, I really recognize a couple of things and I want to draw your attention to it. One, the first thing that I recognize is that your first your first announcement whereby you said you're going to be raising teachers to the maximum of the scale, right? That is something good. And I must say that that was one of the things that I know for years the union been asking and requesting, right, and fighting for, right, that everybody move to the maximum of the scale. And I appreciate that. I also noticed that you seek to offer an allowance for qualifications, upgrades, and that's another good thing, right? That's something worthy of recognition, right? And I know that's definitely a part of the union's proposal. So, as I said, I'm seeing elements of what the union wants in your presentation, right? I also noticed that there's an increase of RAI, right, for hinterland teachers as allowance. I know the actual figure is $9,000, not 10 as I have here, but that was just a mistake by me not recognizing that it was 9 I was getting all the time and not 10. However, so in reality, it's 110% increase, right? And not just 100% increase, right? And I must give you full credit for that announcement. The one-off grant, however, Mr. President, I must be honest, I dislike this for some reason. Uh, I try to be petty to say maybe the term is overused because you've been using it for almost 2 years now. And $25,000 in comparison to, to all different grants I've been sharing over the years for different reasons and different purpose. Uh, I just feel that more could have been given. That's just the way I see it. But it would not be rejected, it will be accepted. But that's just my honest opinion after listening and watching your presentation. In addition, you close off your presentation by saying that there's future announcements to be given, and I just left wondering to myself. I hope that this is not like what happened last year when teachers were waiting to hear what's next for us, or we had to wait almost a whole year before we heard your presentation on the 9th of November. But I want to give you the benefit of the doubt, and I hope that you come true like you never came true before. All right, a little sooner than later. Right. So that was my initial reactions, but I want to talk specifically, look at the analysis of what your announcement really mean for me. Part of your presentation, you used uh, a senior master, and which falls in the same category as I in terms of a graduate head of department. So at this point in time, I want to take some time to look at the analysis of my salary adjustment, what your announcement really means, and I'll also make some what ifs at this point. But really and truly, I want to see how your announcement really benefit me in the short term more so, and then to a lesser degree the long term. All right. So my salary is 243,000. If you should take a look, and based on your announcement, whereby you're going to take me up the scale, you carry me to approximately 262,000. This represents a 7.8% increase in my salary. Note, since this is a salary increase, it would incur statutory deductions such as NIS and PAYE, and which, if you look at it, since I'm already past the tax-free zone, the 28%, and I'm in the 40%, it therefore means that 40% need to be deducted from that $19,000 increase, along with the NIS, which is 5.6. For the sake of simplicity, let us say 45%. And if you should take out 45% out of that 19,000, you leave me with just $10,450. That's the benefit from your announcement. This works out to be a 4.3% real growth in my salary, right? Especially in the short term. So, however, I thought for a while, what if this thing was a retroactive, Mr. President? What if you just give it retroactive? Yes, you increase in retroactive. That would have been $125,400 for the Christmas. And then I even thought a little bit more, what, Mr. President, what if you had just, made it tax free? That would have been $228,000 for the Christmas. But the reality is, it's that it's 10,450. That's what I'm getting based on your first announcement for the Christmas. When I go on to your second thing, whereby you talk about allowance for your qualifications as a holder of a bachelor's in computer science, right? It therefore means that I have the opportunity now to have a $10,000 more on my salary, which means for the Christmas, Mr. President, I will have $20,450 based on your announcement. So adjustment plus allowance, 20,450. By now, I should start smiling because these are reasons to smile. Then I move on to your announcement about REI benefits. And that benefits me because I work in the interland. And as I said, it's 100 to 110 increase. And therefore, the adjustments plus allowance plus the REI, that takes my Christmas earnings to a total of $40,450. Talk about extra Christmas money. When you factor in the fact that REI is only paid every 6 months, right? It therefore means with the old rate plus this rate, I think I have an error there because I calculated at $10,000. But for the sake of simplicity, let's just say 5 months is 50,000 plus this month based on what you have announced. That would take my Christmas extra to $90,450. I want to say, Mr. President, at this time things are looking a little bright. Looking a little bright. But again, I'm just thinking maybe a little retroactive could have come somewhere along there and make things a little brighter. But for now, let us be content for a little while. And so we are at the point whereby for the Christmas, I'll be receiving 90,450 based on your announcement. Then you went on to mention about the one-off cash grant, in which I already shared an opinion on that. However, if I add that to my total, it simply means that I'm going to earn 115,450 extra for the Christmas. Mr. President, when I consider all that you have announced, I recognize that in the short term, my actual salary increase works out to be 16.6%. A 16.6% increase. And that is noteworthy, I must say. And you would expect that, I should be smiling and happy and keep my mouth shut. But it should be told, Mr. President, this is what the story is for me. But let us take a look at what it means for a teacher at the same level working on the coast. I think I must make the point that after the Christmas, my total extra earnings without any other announcement from you will be $40,450. But let's look at a graduate head of department working on the coast. They will receive the same adjustment as I and tax deductions, which will bring their salary to bring the earnings to 10,450 for the Christmas. And as I said before, if it was retroactive, it would have been looking real nice. In addition, if you should add on the allowance for them having their degree, it means that for the Christmas they will earn 20,450. They have no RAI benefits. This means for the Christmas, considering adjustments, allowance, and cash grant alone, they will have earned 45,450 for the Christmas. Note, however, the total increase will be recurring, talking about the 20,450, which is just 8.8% in comparison to my one, which was 16.6%. And Mr. President, I want you to understand how serious this is. You see, look, my son should be writing grade 6 examination this year coming, which will be next year. And if by chance he passed to go to a school in Georgetown, and I think it is in my best interest to, move the family, relocate the family, so that I could facilitate his studies. It means that I must be willing to give up 50% of what you promised on November the 9th. 50%. And I think that ratio on any account is not an easy decision for anybody to make. And I don't think it is reasonable. And I think now that you are seeing it, I don't think you think it's reasonable also. That a hinterland teacher, which is I, yes, I'm happy. I'm getting 16.6%. But a coastland teacher at the same level is only getting half of that. So, Mr. President, if you look at the last part of my slide, for the Christmas, a teacher working on the coast on the same level as I will receive 45,450. While because I'm living in the hinterland, I'm going to receive 115,450. Mr. President, I personally believe that if you had gone to the collective bargaining table, you could have come up with a better package or a better spread. Even if you have, let's say this is so much money that you have at your disposal, you could have spread it in such a way that there was equity. There was equity that not only the hinterland teachers, which only represent less than a quarter of the teachers in the country, would have benefit. You understand? But teachers all across this country could have benefit and have something substantial. I know you promised that there's more announcements to come. And that's why I'm talking tonight, because I really would appreciate if you go to that table and ensure that at the end of the day there's no hard feelings. Let me show you this, Mr. President. If you already offered me 16%, and let's say in a few days from now you decide to offer me 4, 16 and 4 is 20, and let's get some points in between. Let's say that is 21% salary increase we'll be looking at. And I want to ask you the question, how far is that proposal from what the union, especially the Guyana Teachers Union, presented? And so it would, and that's what I'm saying, a narrative that what we asking for is unreasonable, and that's why we're not having collective bargaining. I don't think it holds water, because I think I've already proven to you tonight that there are elements of it that you have already presented, and based on your announcement to come, and I'm assuming that if you should give us a bare minimum 4%, with all reasonableness across the board, you understand, you would have come to that figure that the union presented as one of the things that we're looking for. So, Mr. President, I want you to think about those junior teachers who lives on the coast that don't have a degree. So that $10,000 is off. Think about those teachers who are already in training. They have nothing to get based on your announcement. I just want to say, Mr. President, respect the laws of this country. Follow the established process. It safeguards you from making your good intentions seem ill-willed. I want to say make collective bargaining a priority in your lead up to your public announcement to come. As I said earlier too, Mr. President, I want to also talk to or mention two other persons or two other groups of people in this little video that we're having here. I want you to permit me to shout out the Ministry of Labor. The Ministry of Labor has a responsibility to us employees to ensure that any grievances that exist, once reported, once requested, they should be as the mediator. They do not have the right to choose a side without bringing both parties together. And I found that recently that because of your good intentions, Mr. President, the Ministry of Labor refused to allow Guyana Teachers Union of starting the process of conciliation and arbitration. I want to say to the Ministry of Labor that once those requests are made, there are guidelines within the laws of Guyana that you're quite aware of, that you should be following certain things on a certain timeline. And I want to ask you guys to just do the right thing. What is there to be, what can be lost? What can be lost, Mr. President, by having a discussion with the union? I think you have more to gain if you do. More to gain if you do. I want to say to the teachers that you need to give support to your union. I want to say to the teachers, let us measure things before we react. And this brings me to the last point, Mr. President. When I get up in the morning at the start of the working week, I get up as a worker. Mr. President, I'm not a child. I don't look for handouts. And I find it very belittling with all the public and the politicizing of my salary, the delay, the looking for comments and opinions about what you have promised. Mr. President, I need fair wages. I need livable wages. And if you give me fair wages, you understand, you will be rewarded. But to make it a whole political gimmick, when I've been struggling all year to provide for my family, to take care of my health, and persons are taking the opportune time to do things and say things and to offer things, and when they do, it's a whole lot of It's a show. Mr. President, I'm not a child that you're rewarding. I'm an adult. And you need to respect your workers. We have responsibilities daily, right? Responsibilities daily, not a one off responsibility. Not just for Christmas, we have things to do. Right through the year, every day of the week, there is a struggle for us to overcome. The car that I used to drive to school, right now it needs 6 injectors, talking about 40 plus $1,000. That there alone is 1 month based on your promise increase, and I'm happy. At least I don't have to come out of my normal salary. But this is a struggle that many, if not all of us, face as teachers. And so, politicians, stakeholders, Guyanese, please never make salary issues one for political grandstanding. It's an insult to me. It's an insult to all the teachers. Bread and butter issues should not be presented as feathers in the caps. Do that which is just and right, Mr. President, and your reward will come. I thank you for all that you are doing, but be encouraged, Mr. President. Go to the bargaining table. There's more to gain for you. Thank you.